In the ball there. So, okay. So we're letting some folks in. So, hey, happy Thursday to everybody. Happy Friday Eve. Man, look at that handsome devil. Looks like Bavaro and Lawrence Taylor is in the house here, right?
Yes, sir. How's it
What's
going,
up?
guys?
Hey,
Pretty good.
Johnny, how are you, brother? So, okay, we've got Melissa Boss is in the house. We've got Carlene here. And so Casey's here. So, all right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. And so I like starting on time. And so I'll be letting people in, and I'm just super excited. Now, John, did you bring your singing voice today? Like who can sing? Like Lori, are you a singer? Either Lori, are you guys singers? Anybody?
You don't want to hear me
Casey,
sing.
Melissa Bassa, can anybody
Nobody's
sing? Well, guess
singing.
what? Today, everybody has to have their singing voice. Everybody, take yourselves off mute if you could, please. Take your Melissa Bassa if you want to pop on. It's
No,
Damon's
no way. You don't want to hear me sing.
it's Damon's
It's not a good
birthday
thing.
today. It's Damon's birthday
Oh,
today.
Ah,
It's a big day, so I don't care how bad your voice is. We've got to sing for Damon.
I
So,
think
all
we'll
right,
be
on
okay.
three. You guys ready? One, two, three. Happy
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 birthday
birthday
to
to
birthday.
you.
you. Happy
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 birthday
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 to
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 you.
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 Happy
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 birthday,
birthday,
dear
dear
birthday,
Damon, the greatest guy on the
David.
planet. Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to
Happy
to
you.
birthday,
you.
Thank you.
Damon.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, dude. We love you, brother.
I
Thanks.
think I think that's the first time I sang happy birthday on Zoom.
Hey,
There
first
you
time for
go.
everything, right? Hey,
Gotta
a
be a first time for everything.
For
little
sure, yeah.
first little
Thank you.
birthday. Okay, so all right, hey, let's dive in. We got a small crowd. I'll be letting folks in as we get things going. So I'm gonna give intros here. So man, we've got a great crowd here. So all right, Lori Highby, you're the first one I see. So I've got the Lori show today. Not sure how I planned that, but Lori Highby, founder and extraordinaire of CEO of Keystone Click, just this wonderful marketing agency for manufacturers in a great city of Milwaukee. Lori, how are you, my friend?
Wonderful. How are you?
Oh my goodness, I couldn't be doing any better. You kidding? So, all right, this is great. So you and I, we've done many programs together, lots of fun things. You teach at universities. You have a great manufacturing marketing agency. You founded in 2008. So again, strongly encourage you guys connect with Lori on LinkedIn. She's just a powerhouse. Thank you for joining us here today. I'm going to slide over to my other Lori. So Lori Tybon is in the house today. Lori is in Chicago. Lori, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. So happy to be here.
Oh my goodness gracious. So we connected through IMEC. So Melissa
Mhm.
is here from IMEC. So our friends at the Manufacturing Extension Partnerships, MEPs. And so Lori does an amazing job. Wonderful marketer. As a matter of fact, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to grab. So here's our program. Here's Lori Tybon. Strongly encourage you guys connect with Lori on LinkedIn. She actually has a little free LinkedIn audit here, right? So if you want to check that out. And then I've got my friend Lori Highby. And then, of course, the birthday boy is here today. So we've got Damon. Follow Damon on LinkedIn
These
as
moms
well. So
team.
thank you, Damon. So, all right, I'm going to mute that person. Okay. All right, let's get the party rolling. And let's start with Lori Tybon. I'm going to come to you first. There you are. Lori, just share a little bit on what's going on in AI. What's happening, the newest, the latest, the greatest. What do you have to share with us?
Yeah, awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen because I have a couple slides here. So let's get this going. That should be up. You everybody see that?
We can.
Okay, awesome. So just a few things about what some of the business leaders are saying about AI. I always find it interesting to see what key leaders in the industry are actually saying about it. And these are a couple quotes. One from Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, saying AI will enhance the way humans experience the world. And I think this is very relevant to above and beyond just how we use AI every day in our jobs and to be more productive professionally, but how it touches every single point in our lives. There's a couple examples to think about. If you have like a Nest thermostat in your house, AI can determine and learn when you leave the house, when you come into the house, what temperatures you like, and handle all those settings for you. I'm a big fan of fitness trackers. I have one on my wrist. It's a Whoop, and it uses AI to be able to determine my resting heart rate, my physical activity levels throughout the day. It tells me what time to go to sleep and what time to wake up and handles all of that automatically. So when you think about AI's reach, it is really far beyond just Chat GPT and Claude and some of those LLM tools that we think about. It really is touching every part of our life. But then, former CEO of IBM says AI will not replace humans, but those who use AI replace those who don't. And it really goes in hand with the next quote from the CEO of Fiverr, who was talking about that easy tasks, or the tasks that were hard, will soon become easy, and then tasks that were impossible will become hard. And I see that a lot in my job as a marketer. There's so much more that I'm able to get done. Some of those tasks that were hard, that would take days and hours and hours and days and weeks to produce, I can produce in a matter of minutes by using AI tools. So those hard tools are now easy. And it's one of those things that, from the perspective of the marketplace and the business world that we're going in, is using those tools really does help us become more effective. And we will quickly outplace those who are not. Those who are using AI will advance further and be able to be more productive and get more done. So I wanted to also share a little bit about what Sam Altman says about AI, because Sam Altman says a lot about AI. Obviously, there's a lot of quotes out there. He says this is there's a lot of scary ones that he posts out there, and AI is going to eliminate a lot of current jobs, and there will also be classes of jobs that totally go away. AI is also going to change the way a lot of current jobs function, and is going to create entirely new jobs. And I touched on a little bit about just how I see AI being used as a marketer, so much more being able to get done. So I'm really hoping that throughout this conversation and this session today, that we're all able to think about new ways that we can use AI to be more efficient in our jobs and do them differently, without any fear of AI, and really just embracing it.
Excellent, Lori. All right, well, let's keep, and then we'll come back to you in a minute on the Train the Dragon. Is that what? Okay, so hey, you know what? And do me a favor, guys. We're all connected here. If you're not connected on LinkedIn, you're missing out on some wonderful people. We got Casey, we've got John. Casey, I just gave you a shout out yesterday. I was at a webinar at one of the New York MEPs, did a wonderful webinar, and somebody brought up the global spec research project that you and your team at True. So I'm going to share, and so tell Wendy, there's like 50 people on the webinar. I dropped your research project in there, and it touches on AI. So I'm going to encourage you guys in the chat box, 2 things. Please drop your LinkedIn profile. Love for everybody here to connect. We've got wonderful people that can be friends. So I've dropped Lori and Damon's LinkedIn in the chat box there. Drop yours in there so we could all connect. Secondly, Casey, I just dropped the State of Marketing for Engineers research report, which touches on AI. So that's a great, phenomenal report. If you haven't caught it, Wendy and I did a webinar last month at Purdue MEP. So there's a lot of great information there. So I'm going to slide over. Let's go back to Lori Highby. So Lori, let's talk a little bit about, you have a great marketing agency working with manufacturers. What's AI? What are you doing? Latest, greatest? What's going on in your world?
Oh man, there's so many different things. There's looking at what we're doing internally from our workflow processes. There's things that how we're leveraging it with our clients and educating them on how to create efficiencies within their organization. It's so fascinating, and it's somewhat overwhelming because of how fast it's moving. But the biggest thing, you touch on the word fear, and I hear a lot of fear and reservations around it. But I think the biggest thing is to start small. Start with one thing. What is one repetitive task that you have, or one roadblock that you're experiencing, and seeing if there's a way that a tool or the technology or an LLM of some sort can help create an efficiency instead of trying to do all the things at once. So that's a little nugget that I always like to share. But we've been using it for ideation. I would say that the writer's block, like that word should be obsolete now. Like that phrase should be gone. No one should ever have writer's block ever again, or any sort of creativity block, because leveraging these tools for inspiration and ideation has been extremely helpful and created a lot of efficiencies, especially when we're creating, branding or messaging marketing plans for our clients, and just throwing in some data points about the business, and it's, bringing ideas to the table that we have, but also above and beyond what we have too. I love leveraging the tool for competitive analysis. There's lots of specifically chat GPT when I talk about that, because that's probably the one that we use the most right now. A lot of information that can be gathered and streamlined where we used to take, hours and days to collect this information, and it's kind of just being aggregated all in one slump. And I know this is kind of a question you may ask in a little bit here, but creating a custom GPT to create some of that efficiency where it just kind of does all the homework for you and on a snap of the fingers is quite fascinating. But I will say that you still need to do your due diligence and double check and fact check the information because it is not 100% accurate.
Yeah, great point. So let's do this. If you guys could do me a favor, I would love in the chat box if you just, maybe just share like where are you with AI? Do you feel like are you newbie? Do you feel like you're pretty experienced? I know Casey, you guys are crushing it at True. John, I'd love to hear what you guys are doing with everything that you have going on at Obtessa. Where's I usually have my Obtessa mug right next to me. John, I don't have it right here, but I bring it to the gym every day with me. So just share AI junkie, using it daily. What else you guys got? Like Lisa, where are you at with it? If you guys want to just drop a note, give us an idea, because what we want to do is we want to give you as much value today. So like if you're at this level, we don't want to be down here. We would love for you to get some tips and strategies that you're walking away with. Lori's an AI hype girl. So anybody else want to, Laura, Carlene, Melissa Bassa, if you guys want to drop a note in the chat, just let us know like where you're at, number one. Number two, is there anything that, and again, we have a small group, any questions that you guys have, man, we'd love to dive into that. So Damon, what do you want to share as far as like where, I know like, dude, you're like a AI, even being a birthday boy, you're an AI junkie. Where are you at with AI?
Well, I like Lori. I agree 100% with what both Lori said about this. And the thing that's really amazed me is the progress. And I'm not a Claude user. I play with Gemini once in a while, mainly Chat GPT, because I started building custom GPTs, and I'll say 8 months ago or something like that, as soon as they started coming out, and really been geeking out over that and how much you can really affect the results and the responses from your Chat GPT. But man, the advent of deep research with Chat GPT, and I'm sure you guys will talk about it more, is incredible. What you can do with a simple 2-paragraph prompt to ask, it goes out for 10 or 15 minutes and does a whole bunch of research and comes back with a report that would take you, I don't know if you could do, it'd take a good analyst a lot of time to put it together. And that's really interesting. And the other thing that's interesting to me, just pushing the envelope, is how it can look at things differently than we can as humans, right? It can take complex data sets and reason through them. And I think, John, like you guys in scheduling or something like that, there's just an incredible opportunity because we can't see in the multiverse of all these different possibilities and how they come together. And I've actually got an internal experiment that I'm doing now that is going to be just seeing what aggregating knowledge together, data together, based on video, because we've done so many videos, how that can create a super custom GPT that knows you so well that it's scary. Because then when they come out with the next phases of this and it can start to reason and do some other things for you, I'm really excited about how we can leverage our data that we've got to really create things that do help execute things. So.
Love it. So, all right, so let's slide over here. So it seems like everybody's pretty well versed. So I say we're, I don't, anybody claims to be an AI expert. I'm like, man, really? Like, how can you be an AI expert when it just came out, right? So I think, but we have a passion and trying to stay ahead of the curve. Lori Tybon, let's go back to your presentation. You were talking about how to train your AI. Let's dive into that.
Yeah, let me get, oops, gotta move that over so I can see the share button on my screen. All right, yeah, so, okay, so how to train your dragons. This is tell me you have kids without telling me you've got kids here, right? So if anybody saw that movie, as soon as you saw how to train your AI, I thought of that. So a couple of different updates recently with ChatGPT and OpenAI is that now has the addition of doing deep research. That capability is added. That's what Damon touched on. So when you, if you haven't seen that, when you log into ChatGPT and go into your screen, hopefully you're seeing my ChatGPT now. It has this option for deep research. So if you need to do something that's competitive research for your product, you want to, for example, I'll give you an example of my day job, Krishan here, we're looking at launching some additional product features and working on our product roadmap. Well, I was able to go out and ask ChatGPT to do deep research on other competitive products, looking at their feature benefits and feature set, and do an analysis compared to our products, and then also do a research on the market share and the market opportunity. And it delivered back within about 15 minutes a lot of information that then I shaved off hours and hours and hours of research myself by being able to do that. So yeah, deep research is the first thing. The second thing I want to mention is that now it allows you to edit in a canvas in the chat. So if you haven't used that feature yet, so when it gives you the chat back, you used to have to just type in a whole new prompt. Now you can go into that message, that chat, and you can edit it like a canvas. So you can edit what ChatGPT gave you back, and then it'll take that and refine it from there. So it makes it much more interactive and user-friendly. And it also added the ability to reference chat history. So that's something that's new. You used to have to go back and remind it things, but now it can remember, and it can also recall from other chats that you've used. So if I just go back to mine for a quick second, you can see I have a whole bunch of different, I mean, all the way down the side, I've got a whole bunch of different chats. So I could go back to February or something, and I can ask it something that I have done months ago, and it will remember it and also recall it. So that's very helpful. So Damon, Kurt, do you want me to go into some more specific of these training tips here right now?
Yeah, why don't you knock down a couple of training tips, and then we'll grab Lori Highby to chime in.
Okay, cool. So the first one is to be specific when requesting something in chat. Sometimes people go in and just say, like, write me an email. And if you, for example, instead of asking for a LinkedIn post, you're very casual saying, write a casual, insightful LinkedIn post for B2B marketers about why consistency beats trends, keep it under 200 words, and use my tone, warm, smart, and a little witty. So again, you want to be very specific with what you want it to do, especially when it comes to the output. Because if I specify 200 words, that's what it's going to give me, give or take, versus giving me 10 words or a dissertation, right? So you want to be specific on that. Also, providing context. So you want to give ChatGPT or whatever LLM you're using. I use ChatGPT. You want to give enough background information to understand the situation and the nuances of your request. I type to ChatGPT like I speak. It is very casual. It's not very eloquent, I don't think. I just type in my random thoughts, and sometimes it's a little bit of a word salad that I'm typing in there, but it gets enough information and background information to let it know what I'm trying to do. So often I'll say, I am trying to do XYZ, and I'll go into a lot of details about it. So I say that and share that because I don't want anybody to be fearful that you have to be super eloquent or super technical in your prompting. You can just speak like you do, and it will, because it's the way that the model works, it'll produce the results for you. And then the third one I'll mention right here is use action verbs such as research, analyze, create, suggest, summarize, compare, because those action verbs are going to tell ChatGPT what to do, and it's going to give you different results based on those action verbs. So if you just imagine, you're going to get a very different result back if you're asking it to research something or analyze and compare something versus summarize something. So always think about those action verbs in your prompts as well. Wondering
Excellent.
if maybe, Lori wants to jump in, or anybody wants to jump in and comments on those.
Yeah.
Great tips. I love all that. So, a couple of takeaways right there in write a LinkedIn post, write a, Facebook, like, get specific, research this, analyze this. Those are phenomenal tips. Lori Highby. And by the way, just so everybody knows, fierce hockey skater, right? Hockey player right here. So any hockey players out there, connect with Lori. Lori Highby, what do you want to, as far as like helping to train your AI, what do you want to add?
Yeah, these are all great. A couple of things I'll share, and you kind of touched on this a little bit, Lori, but the quality of the information in equals the quality of the information out. I mean, just no different than, old school CRM systems and whatnot. So the more information, the more input you're providing as far as what the executable is, the better that output is going to be. And using some of those, action words is going to help for that. I like to remember the acronym RACE when building prompts, which is the role that it's supposed to play, the action you want it to do, the context, which is like the input, the data points, and then the executable. So for example, The example I always like to share is like, oh, you stayed at an Airbnb and had a really bad experience. Look at all the things that went wrong is the action. The context is the list of all the things that were bad about it. And the executable would be like, write a review for that. So just remembering that simple acronym of RACE helps you build kind of that structure and that foundation for a really good quality prompt. The other thing that I really like to do, and I shared this with my team internally, is I tell chat to ask me additional questions in order to create the best output. So I say, this is what I want to do. What additional information do you need from me in order to create the best output at the end of the day? And that has been a game changer with regards to the quality of the results that we're getting from leveraging chat. The other thing that I did is I created a custom GPT to help me write a quality prompt. So I say, this is what I'm trying to do. And I have it rate the quality of the prompt on a scale of 1 to 10. And it continues to ask me questions and refines the prompt that I'm trying to ultimately create to have the best output. And it continues, it's structured in a way that if it rates it anything below an 8, it'll continue to ask me questions in order to craft the best prompt possible.
Okay, that was a drop the mic right there.
That
Lori.
was. I'm writing so fast I can't even.
Yeah,
can't keep up.
I think let's pause for a minute. All right, let's take a moment of silence, right? Like that was a lot to digest right there. So I do, I'm going to put it out there if you guys are comfortable. When we say custom GPT, is everybody like, does anybody want us to go deeper, or you're like, no, we're way past that? Because like we could touch on that a little bit more, but Lori, I'm going to recap. So you said race. If I wrote this down fast enough, I need my AI to cover it, right? I'm writing it slow. So I've got role, action, context, and executable. Was that, am I close?
Yep.
Was that right?
Yep,
Okay.
that's correct. Yep.
So, all right, that's a great tagline. And then just walk us through again. You flew through that pretty quick, the question, but like how you're actually having a conversation with chat, and it's almost like, chat, what am I not asking you to do type of thing? Is that what I'm hearing? Or like,
Yeah, so I'll share with you. So I'm going to do a presentation a little bit later today. So I'll just share kind of I'll just share my what I used it for this morning. Let me share my screen. So I call my GPTs Loracle. So I'm just laughing at myself here. Thank
Nice.
you for putting up with me. But basically I said, so I created one called for presentations. And basically I've trained the custom GPT on my presentation style. And I'm happy to walk through kind of how I built that in a little bit. But basically, whenever I'm creating a presentation, I use this specific GPT, right? So I said, help me craft a presentation for a 10-minute webinar. This is the topic. And then what other questions do you need from me in order to put the best presentation together, right? So then it said, great. And it's 10 minutes. It's for business owners. And here's a bunch of questions that it asked me. And I just simply answered the questions quickly. And then it built out the whole outline for my presentation based on, how I want to move forward. So this has saved me a significant amount of time because I do a lot of presenting, and, a bulk of the presenting is actually building the deck. So, yeah, I just found that this is something, again, look at one thing that you do often that takes a lot of time and figure out a way to leverage the technology to create efficiencies in it.
double drop the mic. So that, any questions, any thoughts, comments? Was that good or what? So Lori, let me, I'm going to play a little dumb devil's advocate. Is there anything that as you're going through, like say on presentation, cause I'm digging that cause we do a lot of presentations. Is there anything that you found that like AI, like, not so helpful, or I'm just going to do this on my own? I don't know if that's a goofy question, but is there anything that you're finding AI is not helping you with? Anything or with
the one thing, and I know there's ways to do this, I just haven't taken it to the next level yet, is actually building the presentation for me. I'm very particular about the branding and the look of the slides and everything. So right now I'm personally doing that, but I know that functionality does exist. I just haven't taken it to that step yet.
Yeah, you're at a whole different level than I'm. Like Pigpen with my presentations. They look like Frankenstein. They're a mess. So, I guess I haven't gotten there. But all right, John says, so did you just copy and paste and format the slides off the output? Any editing or tweaks?
I definitely, I always edit and tweak, but I just find that it's a lot more efficient. And this is just a quick little 10-minute thing. When I do deeper ones, I obviously give it a lot more context about who the audience is, how many people are going to be there, the key points that I want to make sure are addressed. But I'll leverage it for, so the example here is I'm talking about, call to action. So I'm further on, I'm like, what are some great call to action examples that are out there that I should consider including in the deck? And then, I'm putting my own spin on it and my own voice, but I just found it's really that bulk of like, what is the information I want to share? And what is the proper flow for this? And chat has been really helpful to taking, an hour or two off of my plate to build out the outline.
Absolutely love it. So Damon, any thoughts that you want to piggyback off of that?
Yeah, I just think this is really, I mean, when you look at it and going, you said blank page syndrome a while back, and this is really how it just cuts right through that. Because as you said, you got to edit it. You have to edit it all. I mean, I've not been able to get anything out of it that you don't, a certain amount, but just to go from blank page to what you showed in the matter of 5 minutes, it could take you hours. And that's the thing that's so cool about it. And then if you don't like it, you can keep iterating, have it iterate for you. If it doesn't have the right tone, if it's not, addressing the audience the way you want, doesn't have the right call to action, or the call to action sounds too harsh or not strong enough, or whatever you want to do. It's so cool how you can just keep iterating with it.
Totally. Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Lori Tybon, why don't we pick back up on how to train your dragon, aka your AI? Why don't we slide back there?
All right. Yeah. So one of the things I found helpful is to break it into small steps as well. So you can even prompt AI to ask you what steps you would need to work through for whatever project you're working on. And it will produce results like what Lori had showed. It will tell you what the steps are, and then I will ask it to do each step at a time. And that way it allows me to be able to go back and iterate each of those and reprompt it, go into the canvas, do some edits, make sure it's really delivering the results that I'm looking for. So if you think about that quote that I put earlier on, that it's how humans will use AI, right? So the content isn't just AI regurgitating something out from a single prompt. It's me as the human and my 20 plus years of experience going back in and reprompting it and crafting it and directing it the way that I wanted to produce the end result. So breaking into small steps helps. Defining the role, the voice, or the audience or point of view. So you can tell it to act like a viral content creator, or you can ask it to write from the perspective and point of view of someone who's Gen Z, totally different generation than me. So it produces very different results that way. And then positive instructions are very helpful. So you focus on asking it to do what you want it to do versus what you don't want it to do. And that's one of the limitations that I have personally found with some of these AI tools, is that if you tell it not to do something, it doesn't understand that as well. It sees the words that you're using, and sometimes you'll end up getting what you wanted to not use. So funny story, I recently signed up for Daily Look, which is like a wardrobe styling thing. It's like a Stitch Fix, if you will, if you've ever heard of any of those. But they use AI to create your style. So I had gone in there and I had asked it, no black. I don't like to wear black. So I said, no black. I don't wear black. I must have said no black 3 times in it. I got 3 boxes and they were all black clothes. Well, clearly their AI was just picking up on the fact that I used the word black 3 times in my profile. So it gave me that. So there are some limitations. So I always try to say, use positive instructions of what you want it to do versus what you don't want it to do. That tip also works with kids. And then experiment and iterate. You can prompt multiple times and keep iterating to produce the best results. And I think that's something that where a lot of people will stop. They'll put one prompt in there, they'll get a result back and they don't like it. And they go, oh, AI is not working for me. It's not giving me the results I need. You do have to add that human part of it, that human insight, and keep prompting it into the direction you want it to go in. And then Lori, the other Lori, my friend Lori over there, talked about this too, using these meta prompts or reflective prompting, which is super helpful. It's letting AI help you help it. So you asking it, what else do I need to prompt you to produce the result I want? What else do you need for me to improve this? What key info is missing from my concept? So there's things that you can do. I'm not very technically inclined when it comes to fixing things around my house, but I've actually used AI and ChatGPT to say, this appliance in my home is broken. And I put the model number and the make and model number in it, and briefly described what wasn't working about it, and said, what else do you need to know in order to help me fix this product? And I've used ChatGPT to help me walk through replacing a part in an appliance and get it back working. So it's really kind of cool. You just ask it what you needed to do. Like, I wouldn't have been able to do that myself otherwise.
Awesome. So, hey, John, our dear friend John Baglino asked a great question. And so, Lori, we can, I love this question. Have you all seen success by using it to update marketing message by persona, C-suite versus IT versus end user? Lori Tybon, since you're starting, then Lori Highby, I'll slide over to you. Lori, how would you answer John on that question?
No, absolutely. 100%. Yeah. I mean, there's, I actually know an agency, a marketing agency that built a custom LLM, and they trained it on behalf of one of their clients, the CEO, all of their messaging, all of their articles, letters, presentations, so that the team can help craft all the messaging and just take some weight off of the CEO's shoulders. And it's probably gotten about 85% accuracy as far as voice. So it just saved the CEO a ton of time, and take something off their plate so the team can help craft the messaging for whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. Lori Tybon, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of, I'll use an example for Christian Technologies. A lot of our our ICPs are process engineers and engineers. So a lot of our messaging is written for them. But we also know that as part of the sales cycle, there's a lot of other the sales process, there's a lot of other key stakeholders, particularly those that are in operations and finance. So I went into ChatGPT and I was able to feed it back in and say, okay, now take my product and my ICP and write me messaging specific to those who are making financial decisions and those who are coming in and key stakeholders in the sales process from an operations perspective. And then it gave me, and I like looking at it here, it gave me like all these different pain points for what the finance individuals are feeling and what operations teams are facing. So what it's done is it's helped us in our sales process to then be able to also speak the language of the other key stakeholders when we're presenting and helping work with clients.
Absolutely love it. So, all right. So shamelessly, I'm going to show, so John, since you mentioned that, I have a fun little example I'm going to show you guys real quick. And then Lori Highby, I'm going to be coming back to you. So this, we have this little cheat sheet that we use with every single one of our clients. We call it the digital game plan. And so this was a client, any baseball fans out there, Lori Highby, Brewers, like in, I don't know, Chicago, we got Cubs, White Sox. Apparently the Pope is a White Sox fan. I can't believe that, Lori Tybon, but so, all right, if you're a baseball fan, what we'd love to do is like we bucket our clients by bases in a baseball diamond. So what this client did is she created like this was her single. You know, this is a person that's going to buy periodically. Then she created like this was her double, and she's a direct-to-consumer brand. And then this was her triple. This is like, you know, she's a tea manufacturer. This is Greg, the OG premium tea drinker. And then this was what we call like our home runs. So like everybody has like, oh, this is my single, my double, my triple, my home run. And so then what the client does is everything is based around like, hey, what keywords or like what questions is my single asking? What's my double? So like I have a powder coater in Chicago, like he'll text me, but like, dude, I'm going after my triple. He's a da 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 da. And like, so he's all fired up, like being laser focused by bases, which customer or what persona. And because we've used AI to kind of create those personas, now they know like their keyword strategy, what questions those folks are asking, what content should we put out, what social are they on. So we're having a really fun time. Lori Highby, what are your thoughts or any more additional comments to the
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I haven't done this, but I heard someone and I'm intrigued by it. So first off, we use Fathom to record all of our calls. I don't know if anyone's using any tools like that, and does a fantastic job with the transcripts. But what I've heard, and I haven't again done this yet, but some folks have uploaded, that and built the personas and saying, this is the client, get to know them and understand them so that next time I have to, have a tough conversation with them or draft an email, like the the AI is going to help you speak in a language to them that's going to ultimately resonate with them the best.
Yeah, and I think that the example that you brought up before about the CEO, one of the things that we've used is do CEO interviews about the origin story of the company, their values, the mission of the company, their personal values, get more to know about them, and do that with a lot of stakeholders in the company. And pretty soon you've built a custom GPT using those transcripts that really understands the company and the feel of the company more than it would without it, and it makes a huge difference in the responses. And I just think if you have more of that type of content to feed it, one of our challenges is how do we get enough content to really maximize the utilization of the tool? Because the more you feed it about that kind of stuff, the more as a marketer you can then, as Lori Tybon said, focus it in on the multiple people in the buying process. You can focus it in on a different segment in the market. It just makes it so much easier.
All right, so let's go here. I have a burning question. All right, any questions? Again, drop them in the chat. Love to hear what anybody has to say. Anything. Lori dropped her prompt into the chat box, so if you didn't
That's
see that,
awesome.
please copy and paste that, save that. So I was at the Industrial Marketing Summit. My dear friend Casey, her wonderful team at True Marketing, and Joe Sullivan at Gorilla 76, they put on a wonderful program. If you guys haven't, I got to see Lisa. Lisa, where are you, Lisa? You're here somewhere, right? There she is. Is she still here? Lisa Buchanan. So she was actually there. So I got to meet Lisa in person there today, this year. And so a lot of folks were talking about like SEO. Is SEO dead? What's going on with SEO? Do we need keywords anymore? Lori Highby, I want to start with you. Do you have an opinion? Like what's the future? What's the present and what's the future of SEO from your perspective?
Great question. And this is something we're spending a lot of time on right now. So the big message I'm communicating is that the customer journey is changing, and it's really changing on the front end, not necessarily the back end. The front end is people are using, the AI tools to go for their problem solving needs, right? And that's been the whole core around SEO. What is the problem that someone has, and how do we, prove that we're the right solution to solve that problem? So SEO is changing. Google Analytics is proof that the site visits and whatnot has dropped across the board. I mean, we see this for a lot of our clients because, Google has their own AI answer that's showing up right now. They're on the AI train as well, just like everyone else is. So what's important is understanding that conversation that's happening in AI, you can still show up as a result. I mean, I was just using, I use ChatGPT now as my search engine pretty much. And I know this is still early adopter stage, but the trend is going to continue upwards. So I was trying to find some new cold gear to wear for my hockey activities. And just figuring out what are my options for that. And then chat actually said, would you like to me to send you some links for some product recommendations? So I was just blown away that experience happened. And that really kind of started making me think about how this is impacting all of our clients, in the world and the whole customer journey. So we're actually in the final stages of building out an AI optimization audit that will is looking at Claude and Perplexity and ChatGPT and figuring out and analyzing how you're showing up in alignment to your competition for the phrases and the messaging that your ideal customer is going to be entering into these tools. So 100% important to take a look at. The positive, I would say, is that a lot of the tactics are very similar to kind of historical SEO when it comes to quality, value add education is the type of content that's going to show up. And I would really reinforce, and this kind of is somewhat of a double-edged sword, but having that unique position is going to be a lot better than, doing your typical FAQ content that is the same that everyone else is publishing, because then you're not differentiating yourself. So it's having that human content is still going to be really important to show up in AI, which I think is ironic.
So let me put this out to the panel right there. Okay, so when you think about with what you just said right there, Lori, phenomenal answer. So think about, how many of us either agencies or been involved, like you, I think many of you been on our live show. John, you've been on, Lori, you've been on, Lori, you've been on, Casey's been on. So, live streaming, podcasting, like Damon was talking about origin story. So I'm going to put it out to whoever wants to grab that. Like, how important is it to maybe do some of these alternative things, videos? Who wants to grab that first? Lori, Damon, Lori Tybon has her mouth
Yeah,
open.
yeah,
Lori, what do
sure.
Lori Tybon, you grab it.
Yeah, sure. I think that what's interesting is that there are AI is enabling content like never before, and it's definitely impacting SEO. There's a lot of people can go on and make an ebook now in like 10 minutes, by a couple little prompts. Um, do I want to read an ebook that somebody put out in like 10 minutes and didn't do any iterations to it, didn't put any of the original thought behind it? Not really, right? So I think part of the whole thing is making sure that we're using the tools to help us get to things faster, and especially with that ideation process and the research process, it can make a direct line and a shortcut to get us there, but there still has to be that human piece behind it. And having said that, because there's so much content that's out there, and buyers, especially in B2B, buyers are different these days. Like they're doing research, they're looking at things before necessarily picking up a phone and calling somebody. And I'm old school. Like I like to pick up a phone and call and talk to a real person. I mean, that's even hard to do these days because you got the chat bots and you got the AI agents and you got all this other stuff out there. So having a lot of content out there, having a lot of content in different formats is definitely important. Doing video, doing blogs, doing articles, posting on the social channels. The more multimedia approach that you can have, the better, especially with AI. And like Lori, I also use ChatGPT as my search engine now. So for the most part, I generally go into ChatGPT and do all my questioning and all my searching in there. Depending upon what it is, I'll sometimes also go to Google. I do a lot of it in ChatGPT. And I think that one of the things that I've noticed is that ChatGPT seems to pull more recent and relevant data, more so than the sponsored and the ads that come up and the SEO keyword rich keyword stuffed articles. It seems to pull up more better direct references in my experiences than using ChatGPT. So anyways, answer to the question, yeah, I definitely believe that having a multimedia approach and having different media formats out there is going to be better for an SEO perspective.
Excellent. Thank you, Lori Tybon. Birthday boy, what do you think?
Well, I just think we need to be realistic, and we have multiple buyers that want multiple to look at things different ways. People ingesting our content, right? YouTube is so popular now. If you're not turning at least some of your content or starting it out as video, I think you're missing out because it is just so crazy that, as the people that were 20, 10 years ago, they're now 30. They're in decision-making positions in business. They are controlling a lot of money. I mean, I look at my children that are just going into that age. YouTube is everything. YouTube is everything. I mean, and you look at people my age, we still watch the damn nightly news, right? And that doesn't happen anymore. And so we really have to think about that as in manufacturing, especially because it's going away from that. And hiring reps just doesn't do it.
So, all right. So a couple things I want, Lori, Highby, so we do a lot of training with clients and, a lot of them, I'm a Gen Xer. There are a lot of Gen Xers, baby boomers. Like we're still explaining how a Google page works. Like they don't know that, like I'll say organic and they're like, I don't know what you mean by that. Like sponsor, so the thing is like, what are we still, like for those folks that are still laggards on Google, let alone getting on, what does that do for us? What does that do? And I know you do a lot of paid ads. Lori Tybon just mentioned paid ads. How do we deal with manufacturers that are these baby boomers, Gen Xers, maybe these laggards? A is my question. Then B, I'm going to slide in like, what's your approach with paid? Are you changing your paid strategy with your clients? How's that? I'm throwing two at you.
Yeah. No, I mean, education is the most important thing. And I've been speaking a lot about AI right now. And that's always been my approach anyways to everything we do, because, you know, in digital marketing, everyone thinks it's voodoo black magic on how it works. So it's all about education, and demonstrating, you know, and just showing people how it works. And by pulling up the actual, you know, LLM and walking them through an example, because if I just talk about it, it doesn't hit as home as effectively as actually showing them that this is happening, the world is changing. But there's still a lot of reservation in that, and that's, I think, a constant struggle. It's been a struggle to show people how Google works for the last,
Yeah.
you know, 20 years. So you know, there's a lot of folks in the manufacturing space that, you know, it's the good old boys club. It's walking in and shaking hands, and that world is changing significantly. So it's just, you know, pushing that message out there and being an advocate for as much as possible. That's all I got to say about that one. So with the paid ads game, that world has changed a lot too. I mean, the way that you can, you know, target and adjust the messaging to get in front of the right person at the right time is just so insanely awesome and scary at the same time. And someone asked me on a podcast recently what I think, you know, are ads going to start to show up on these AI platforms, and I very much believe so, because I mean, everyone's here to make money, and advertising is the easiest way to make money. You look at, you know, what happened to Google, you know, when Google first came out, and I was doing SEO in the super early 2000s. I was doing SEO for 10 different search engines at one time, right? And right now, I think that's the same kind of ball field we have right now. We have a bunch of different platforms that are out there, and eventually one's going to rise to the top, right? And same thing, that's what Google did. And then when Google rose to the top, they said, we've got the market share, let's really maximize this. And now you can spend money with Google a gazillion different ways. So I imagine that that's going to be what happens in the future, but I don't know exactly what that's going to look like. As far as the way we do ads, I mean, I think we've leveraged from a research perspective a little bit, you know, the messaging, you know, the positioning, the audience, and we've done a little bit with that. We haven't necessarily loved kind of the AI built into the ad systems right now, because I know like Google's really pushing that. But we find, you know, they're in a very trial and error stage at this moment. So it's still very manual as far as how we're managing that.
Yeah, and I failed to mention you by chance. I mentioned podcasting, live streaming. You have a wonderful podcast. What's the name of your broadcast?
A broadcast for manufacturers. Myself and two broads talk broadly about manufacturing.
That's right. So check it out. Connect with Lori on LinkedIn. She had her and Chris Harrington and Aaron Courtney have a wonderful podcast. The Broad, BROAD in capital letters, Broadcast for Manufacturers. It's a wonderful program. Lori Tybon, your thoughts as far as like where we're going, future SEO, pay, like anything that we're going to start winding things down. How do you want to tie up anything in a bow here from your perspective?
Yeah, you know, with AI being built into the Google paid ads, that is changing things a bit. And it's B2B world and manufacturing is a lot different than buying, you know, lip gloss or makeup or, you know, just anything, a consumer product. The ability to be able to, so what Google's doing with their paid ads is using AI, and they're taking your keywords and they're finding whatever gets the most amount of clicks. And they're just trying to really maximize. I'm overly simplifying it, but they're trying to maximize the amount of clicks, right? Because it's pay per click. So, you know, if you're selling microwave generators for industrial use, and every time somebody clicks microwave, you don't want to be paying for that, because a lot of people are out there shopping for their home microwave. They're looking to fix their home microwave. And that's just, you know, one example when that's where that Google AI is being used, and it's trying to, you know, Google wants you to let them plan where your ads being shown and to what customer audience and what segment it's being shown. And I think that's an example of where the human experience and where human oversight is really important, especially in manufacturing and B2B right now. Because if you're paying for an ad, you want to make sure it's being shown to your audience, your target audience, and not somebody else. So yeah, I think that it has a way to come yet from a Google Ads perspective. But you also mentioned, you know, when we talked about, just to wrap up on the multimedia and being in different places, you know, B2B buyers, and the journey is very different these days, and they're shopping over on YouTube, they're putting things into Google search, they're putting things into ChatGPT, they're looking on LinkedIn, they're looking in the industry publications. So you do have to be in all places, it seems like, and have this omni-channel approach with your market. And I do think that brings us back to the use case for AI, is that we can repurpose content a lot quicker. We can create content, repurpose content, make it very specific for the channel, make it very specific for the media. And by using AI, we can do it a lot faster. So it's a great use case for that.
Love it. Damon, your thoughts as we start winding down.
Well, we haven't talked about it, and I'm not going to bring up a big subject, but if you haven't already, and if you got ChatGPT, you should install it on your phone and talk to it. I'm telling you, it is a game. It keeps the text too, so you can go back and see your conversations. But it really is. It's weird and it's cool, because when you're just ideating and you're just talking into it and it's asking more questions and you get that, it also has helped me to prompt better, because I know by it's asking me questions what I need to keep doing. But I really see, as we go forward, the more that talking directly to an AI agent can get you results. I wonder what that's going to do for search. I wonder what that's going to do for the kind of things we do. I mean, even the Google Assistant, how Google Assistant will shoot links to your phone and those kind of things you can see. It's just going to be interesting how this progresses forward, and not to mention the AI agents that actually can do stuff for us. It's just those two things are just going to be crazy as we move forward.
So, all right, some great takeaways today, right? So, Damon, great tip there. Add it to your phone, especially for guys like me that don't have many friends. Like, now I got a new friend that I can talk to on my, like AI can be my new buddy, right? So,
Yeah.
just, all right. So, Lori, Highby, why don't you take us home, tie things up in a bow? Any parting thoughts, words of wisdom that you want to share from your perspective?
The biggest thing that I do with every single task on my plate is I start with, how can AI help me with this?
Yeah. Do you see Shopify is not hiring right now without forcing their managers to say that you've exhausted every option with AI, then we'll consider hiring. That's
Wow.
pretty profound. So, all right, a couple minutes. John Baglino, any thoughts, comments, questions, anything that you want to share? Anything from your perspective, dude?
This was awesome. And I do appreciate the insights. It's moving so quick. I was on the Marketing AI Institute with Paul Roter yesterday. That event, I don't know if you guys were on it, but he was said by the time we're done with this conversation, he goes, it's outdated, right? It's just it's moving so quick.
Yeah.
And I was at the event last week, Damon. You mentioned about supply chains or remanufacturing. Like, there was a couple, like Google was there doing their agentic AI and showing like how they're programming to recognize boxes, and Uber Freight had an AI agent that was negotiating how much a driver was going to get in real time. Like, I'm 5 miles out, like, oh, I need $1,200, and it's like, no, how about 1,100? I'm like, the he's negotiating. So it was pretty cool to see that. But yeah, honestly, it's moving very quickly. And I think it's also, now that I'm in like product marketing, that's why I'm asking about the persona, right? Because it's one of those things where, like, oh, I have a meeting with IT, what do I say? I'm like, well, I'm gonna get you an answer really quickly. So that's why I was asking about the success. Like, is it actually working? And we're testing that out now. And then right before this, I was on what our agency. I asked him, I said, what do we need to plan for? I was like, we're having our best months ever on the website. But now that traffic's going to change. Now what do we do? and they're like, well, we don't know. I'm like, okay, at least we don't know, right? At least we didn't miss anything.
Right.
But no, it's good. It's a daily thing. It's re-engaged me in marketing, which is fantastic. But I definitely appreciate your insights, guys, and the prompts and the examples. And I have a lot of work to do.
I know it's daunting, but just got to embrace it. Casey, anything that you want to add from true perspective? Anything that we didn't cover? Anything? Any questions on your end?
No, great job, you guys. I was laughing to myself when you said you don't use AI in the Google Ads space. It's always right on that side, and you're like, okay, you don't know what you're talking about yet. We're
Yep.
just gonna continue with our traditional way of doing things. So it's not quite there yet. But one thing I noticed, I haven't tried it out or tested it, but apparently ChatGPT does have like some shopping links now. So that'll be interesting to see how that evolves too.
Excellent. So Casey, hopefully I didn't see if you didn't, please drop your LinkedIn and profile. Love for everybody to connect with Casey. Laura, Carlene, Melissa Bassa, any questions, thoughts, comments that you guys have as we're closing out? Not to put you on a spot, but feel free to come off of mute if you have any questions. And Carlene, anything on your end? Laura, anything on your end? And if not, okay, let's wind down. Should we sing again? Nah, we won't. We won't sing again. So Damon, so what are you doing for your birthday, dude? What are you doing for the big? It's a big number, right? Is it a big number this year? What is it? Are you on mute? Damon, are you on mute?
In less than an hour, I'm going to be on the road to the beach.
Going to the beach, man. His beautiful bride has taken him to the beach. What
Nice.
beach you going to?
Seaside, Oregon.
Seaside, Oregon. So, all right, dude. Hey, we wish you, send you tons of love on your birthday. Have an amazing birthday weekend and just enjoy every minute of it. Guys, how about if we give a huge round of applause for Lori, Damon, for our friends here just sharing their passion, their expertise. Appreciate you guys. Lori, wishing you tons of success with everything you have going on. Lori Tybon, she has a daughter going off to college this year. Lori Highby, find her on the skating rink anytime. She's just like, she's checking people, so you can find Lori. I've dropped everybody's LinkedIn and profile in the chat. Please connect with everybody. And again, my name's Kurt. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for spending this lunch hour with us. For those of us on the East Coast, John, great to see you. Casey, great to see you. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Thanks, guys. See ya.